Hey travelers, and welcome to the Come and Go Tavern. My name is Sheela Ornthalis, and I'll be your hostess this afternoon. Today's kitchen special is fried chicken with potato wedges, and it looks like Irene is currently available for a full service package, if you know what I mean. But if you see anything or anyone else on the menu that you'd be interested in, just let me know and we'll see what we can do. Hello and good morning, Osiris. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here, as always. Today we are going to be returning to Hytale for the 10th time on stream. Last time I did a lot of work on the outer walls of the new keep and started a grading project to kind of smooth out I'm going to call it the floor level, but like the level that the dirt is at, you know what I mean? And we're most likely going to continue with that project today, but as always, I will go wherever the mood takes me. Plus, I will be yapping the whole time, so that's something to look forward to. As always, I will also be available for comments, questions, and concerns about the tavern, as well as regular old conversation. So don't be afraid to fill that chat with discussion. Hey Kiwi, how are you doing today? So yeah, let's head on over to the game screen, because we've got some amazing Golden Sun music happening in the background right now. You know, I have to start the music for this well before I actually start running the game and start the stream, just to make sure that everything lines up correctly, and I'm always sad when y'all miss good bops. I am good, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Put in some applications to hopefully qualify for some new gigs recently. But like I mentioned last week, at least, was it last week? No, I hadn't done the gig last week. I was going to be doing the gig. I mentioned it on Friday of last week at the very least. Oh, that's a shadow from a duck. Okay. First gig with this new contract. Oh, I do have a letter in my mailbox. Oh, good to know. First contract with this company that I just started working with went well, but was extremely exhausting because it took me an additional 4 hours to get home after the end of the gig because I misjudged when public transit would be operating. Have you been here long enough that you need to start paying taxes? Well, probably at this point, but we'll address that when we kind of get to that time of the year. How about that? Let's see. All taxes go towards improving the community, so you can be sure that your money is going to a good place. Hup. Oh my goodness. See, I am glad that I decided to forage a little bit further afield than most of the other people in the community for my main house, because my goodness, have I spread out. I did get the letter. Hang on, let's go back inside to our safety. And let's take a look. Dearest Hytale resident, we're happy to announce the Northwest Bridge is officially open for business. No need to watch for falling planks left by a rather forgetful crew while keeping your feet dry. Head over to the future location of the Castle and Lava Spa Resort. Feel free to visit the dinosaurs while you are there. Please be careful on the stairs. The Demonic Construction Authority. Interesting. Northwest Bridge, huh? Well, hang on. Let's take a look at... Oh, the map's broken again. Okay. Northwest Bridge. You know what? Let's go ahead and visit that. That'll break up... I don't want to say the monotony, but... that will break up the activities for the day. So let's... Just getting stuff out of the backpack. Okay, and I do have another one of those. So Northwest Bridge, huh? I suppose I should head back to the main camp. Wait, was that bamboo there before? I don't remember there being bamboo in this area. So the letter refers to the Northwest Bridge. Where would the Northwest Bridge be? Like, we're heading south. Okay, so northwest would be this direction. Oh, hello, Spoder. I don't want to have anything to do with you. So you had a weird dream as you were waking up earlier being like 30 minutes ago. Okay, tell me more. As long as it is stream appropriate, as it were. Okay. Aw. Wait, does that camel have a turtle shell? Neat. I am definitely on top of somebody's house. Let's see. Oh. So there's Kiwi's house. Hello! Welcome to the stream. Which, again, I absolutely love the aesthetic of Kiwi. Oh, I found the solicitors again. Ow. Ow. Oh, there's another one. Don't want to have anything to do with that. What in the world is this deadwood fence? Wow, those are gorgeous. Alrighty, so northwest, huh? Up, up. Little mouse. Hello, little mouse. White sandy gravel, neat. Oh. Oh. Okay, hang on. I see where we're going now. I think I stumbled upon this at some point and had no idea where it was going. Ooh. I'm not gonna take anything out of this chest, but still. Love the look of them. Small light temple chest. Ah. Oh. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, I love the flowing lava over the doorway, over the tunnel. That's very neat. Oh. Dead horse, dead horse, dead horse. He's dead. Oh, this is so cool. Kiwi, did you make this? Oh, wow. Very cool. Well done. Oh. Ooh. Volcanic rock, ashen soil. Ooh. I wonder what I could do with that. Hello? That is not a friend. That is not a friend. Started the castle on Friday. You started this on Friday? Wow. Oh, very cool. What's down here? Ow. wow. Like ghost fish or something? Oh, they're barracudas! Oh, cool. Oh, that's a whole story, Osiris. Hang on. Up. I have some ideas for megastructures that I'm going to build as my next project after the come and go. That dead cow? Is that a zombie cow? Oh my goodness, those are zombie cows. Oh my goodness, those are zombie cows. Ow, ow, okay, fine. I'm going. Well, that's cool. Ooh, slate. Alright, hang on just a second. I'm gonna get back to a safe zone, or at least onto the bridge, which should be a safe zone. Now we'll give that a read, Osiris. Let's bring this up. So you're playing Assassin on a marathon map your brain made up that had lots of water you could swim in and submerge in to hide. Was skirting a team of 3 assassins on a structure who were trying to exfil. How was their team in solos? I don't know. You were also asking that question in your dream. Interesting. I'm assuming there's more coming from this? Or was that the whole dream and it just kind of got weird dream logic at some point? Anyway, very cool project, Kiwi. That is so neat. Again, you have a very strong aesthetic vibe, and I commend you for it. At some point, I will be confident enough to share some photos of me because, especially, like, I was talking about it on Goddess server earlier today, but there was a time in my life where I absolutely would have been cosplaying Umas if I had access to them. And I would have been a very tall rice shower cosplayer very, very easily. Despite, you know, canonically being 3 foot tall, you know. Hop, hop. Which direction was home again? Pretty sure it's this way. I do love our giant treasure chest. Commendations to those who worked on it. It's very fun. And in swimming and cloaking to avoid shot, you got down by a UNSC Pelican, huh? What's John Halo doing here? Okay, I have absolutely gone the wrong way. You know, as an Easter egg, and your dream brain was like, oh, cool, here's where those Marines went to. You know, that squad of Marines that famously disappeared through a warp or something from a Halo game? Thing that obviously happened because why would my brain invent that? So, I vaguely remember something like that happening in a Halo series. Like, it may not have been in a Halo game, it might have been in a Halo book. But there were definitely groups that got disappeared through FTL. Okay, where in the world am I? Where do I go? Follow the river, where do I go? Follow the signs. Should actually be follow the sun, I believe, but not gonna step on too much copyright here. Okay, no, that's the way out to Farmer Goddess Hole, so now I have a bit of orientation going. that's Boomer's Forest, if I recall correctly. Heading north from... Because I don't want to fuck with the forest at night. Just feels like a bad idea. There's my house. Or at least the front entrance of the keep. Doot. Doot. Okay, cool. So let's pick our stuff back up. Ready for construction. But we are going to go sleep to bring it around to daytime. Maybe that's where your brain pulled that shit, but after you woke up you were like, what the fuck is the UNSC Pelican doing on Tau 74? Well, again, the Halo universe was originally supposed to be connected with Marathon, and I can kind of continue to choose to believe that that's the case. Let's see. Like, there is no canonical truth to that fact, but I like to believe it's still true. Let's see. Okay, that'll be good. Looks like I figured out to close the doors. Doot. I can't wait until we can have access to some form of automation, because door buttons are the thing that I miss the most. But yeah, since the Halo universe was originally supposed to be... well, the Halo games were originally supposed to be in the Marathon universe, it does make sense. You know, it's supposed to be all the same universe, but the time periods don't add up. Like, the Pelican was still on fire, like it crashed recently. I mean, when you get into FTL travel and things like that, you can always do a little bit of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, as it were. Because faster-than-life travel gets weird. Hop. Ow, my knees. You know, I should know better than that at this point. So awkward to be plunged into commie music when I least expected. How am I in my chat? Doing well, Cloud. Like, you missed our last Final Fantasy stream on Friday, because that's when I do Final Fantasy stuff. But we got up to the point in Rebirth where we are about to play off against the Queen's Blood Master in the card shop for the first time. I'm assuming we'll be playing off against him more than once, but you know, it is what it is. I am still having some graphical issues because, well, the game is trying to render literally the entire world at the same time, despite having loading, like, clear and easy areas where it could do loading. Or, you know, they could just adapt some of the stuff that Final Fantasy XIV has done and actually get good at establishing draw distances. But that's neither here nor there. That's inside baseball for game development stuff. Let's see. So basically, like, I can either have the game run beautifully smoothly, or I can have my model run beautifully smoothly, and it's unfortunately only one or the other. I am still in love with the game. The game is fantastic. I'm having a lot of fun. I remembered what you were kind of trying to hint at with what was going on with like why Tifa and Cloud's stories were differing. We have not gotten to that reveal in game yet, though, but I did remember it. I do still think that there's something additional going on, especially given the fact that certain people are still around when they shouldn't be. Like, I'm glad that they're alive, but, what? Especially given that there seem to be now 2 copies of certain people bopping around in the universe. It's a whole thing. I am extremely excited to see where the team takes it from here. Because there's definitely some weirdness happening. In addition to the established weirdness that already was the Final Fantasy VII plot. But yeah, welcome to our Tuesday stream, where we play Hytale and yap about stuff, and just generally kind of hang out and build stuff. My current project is building a copy of the keep in which I live, which is where the Come and Go Tavern is at. So it won't be a 1-to-1 size because I had to do some interesting math because of the fact that most block games like this use 3x3 blocks. So like it won't fit perfectly, but it's fine. I won't give any spoilers away. You're curious about my impressions and theories. Fair enough. So it is like the thing that threw me off before is the fact, quite frankly, that Zack is still around. I'm happy that he's around, but his presence changes a pretty key part of the canon, and the fact that he walked into the city with Cloud and then saw the crew being carted off by Shinra in the wake of one of the reactor destructions. Again, we've got at least 2 copies of a number of characters floating around in this universe now actively, because it would feel like the Avalanche crew are not public enemies enough that they would feel the need to create like fake clones, you know, like they wouldn't be false flagging or anything like that. Oh, there we go. Like that would be way too many resources. So it's extremely strange that we have a whole second group. But then again, the Whispers were also doing their best to kind of reset the timeline and set things in a way that they think is correct. But who's to say at this point in the story whether it's actually the Whispers operating on their own, or if it's Sephiroth who absorbed some of the Whispers at the end of the last game, sort of trying to force the world into the shape that he wants it to be in. Because it sure did look like most of the crew was, at the very least, incapacitated, if not dead, when they were picked up by Shinra. So I am fascinated by what they're doing here. It's very many worlds theory, and I cannot wait to see where this story goes. And I do wonder if there isn't another version of Tifa running around that had a completely different experience from the one that our current one did. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. There's so much left to learn. Plus, then there's the fact that, like, okay, well, where does not Spirits Within, Advent Children fit into all of this? Is this like, is Advent Children essentially like pre-canon to this story? Like, did the spirit of Sephiroth that we saw there, which was kind of a weird zombie continuation from the original game, essentially survive Advent Children and then carry on into the remake series? Like, is that why we're seeing so many interesting, strange, alternate versions of events. You know, does Spirits Within have anything to do with this? Because again, I am a huge fan of the idea that Spirits Within is a Final Fantasy VII film. It's just way later and kind of a bad ending, as if Shinra won the conflict instead of Avalanche. Let's go. Words. Because that movie makes a lot of sense as a Final Fantasy thing if you think of it as I mentioned before, kind of a bad ending. It's as if Avalanche's mission failed and Shinra was able to survive and sort of surpass their current evils that they are doing in the actual games. And eventually just kind of wore the world out, you know what I mean? Bop, 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 bop. I did see a new message arrive, but give me just a second. On a roll. And not in the bread way, you know? Can't wait for further sessions. Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. Gonna be very, very fun. I do hope that I will be able to kind of distribute the processing that's going on soon. I've talked about it on previous streams before, but that's my big plan for once I get a Steam frame, is essentially to break up how my computer is processing stuff for my streams. Because once I have that, essentially part of my processing, at minimum, I'm going to be moving all of my model processing over to the frame, which is going to clear up a lot of processing power and kind of, you know, split the difference between the two. We already know that Slime VR is running on the Steam frame from day one, and given Suvitriel's programming skills, I have no reason to think that there won't be a version of Vignon that can run native to the frame either. Especially given the fact that the frame has eye tracking built into it. So at the very least, it's going to have a pipeline of some sort. If push comes to shove, what I may end up doing is moving certain games into running on the frame and then just broadcasting that back to my computer. I know that'll work with lighter games, such as like, well, Demon School and Shadowrun and things like that. But I have no idea if games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will work that way, since it is fairly heavy. That's part of the issue, is that there are no, like, distance limiters on anything. So, as I said before, the game is essentially trying to render the entire open world at the same time, while also making pretty much everything physics interactable, which is a nightmare from a computational standpoint. And I've mentioned it before as well, but I am always amazed by how efficient Final Fantasy XIV runs compared to so many other Square Enix titles. And it has a lot to do with the fact that the 14 team silos themselves off from the rest of the company, and the fact that they need their game to run on as many different kinds of systems as possible. So they have a huge variety of settings that allow it to run at absolute potato quality all the way up to Ultra HD, 8K, all that goodness. Most people don't even have 8K at this point. But honestly, it's one of those things that, like, it'll come eventually once it becomes feasible to build it in an efficient way. I have worked with screens up to 16K, but those were all in large venues. So think like arenas and other places like that. We're catching up on Discord, so you may have mentioned, did you mention the 8K textures across the board? Oh, no, okay, I didn't mention that here. So one thing, okay, I went digging in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's code base and like the mods and stuff for it, trying to get it to run more efficiently. And one of the discoveries that I made along the way is that essentially what they have decided to do in this game is that like they just have the maximum textures, like raw 8K, 4K, like I'm pretty sure it was 8K, rendering at all times and then downscaling them, or if you have your graphical settings lowered, which is fucking wild. Like that means that you are still taking up just as much processing power, guys, as if you were running it full blast. Plus you're adding an additional process on top of that. Like, it's much better idea to have multiple levels of your textures available, and just load whichever level of texture is desired by the level that the settings are set at. Like, I get what they were going for because it's kind of a future-proofing thing. It's a preservation thing, as well as a method of reducing the overall download size of the game. Because, like, if you're gonna have those hyper detailed textures in there, you can save a few gigabytes by removing like lower level textures and then just using computational stuff to downgrade them. But y'all, I don't need hyper realistic lighting in a fantasy game. I don't need ridiculously detailed levels of graphics. I need things to be pretty, you know? I don't know. I need things to run well. I need baked-in lighting. Yeah, honestly, the lighting situation in the Final Fantasy VII Remake games is probably, like, outside of the optimization issues, which is just again, that's not specifically at those games, that's a lot of games, not even just Square Enix games, but, like, just the industry in general these days, unfortunately. Very few companies actually seem to be interested in optimizing when they can just rely on people's computers to do the work for them. Or at least that's how they treat it. But yeah, it's one of those things that, like, also the point of lowering graphics settings is to reduce hardware load. Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, like, it's one of those things where, like, yes, they technically run a few frames faster, and if you're using, like, that, like, stupid fucking frame generation hardware and system, like, it's a shortcut. It is a shortcut, and I am very annoyed. Like, it's the same thing I ran into when I was working in academic circles, where a lot of people would take shortcuts that ended up making their research worse as a result of it, because they didn't want to put in the work. And it makes your life worse, it makes the consumer's life worse. It just, come on, y'all, just put in the work. And I understand that crunch is an absolutely abysmal thing within the video games industry, but that is a different issue. I would rather a game take an additional few years to come out. Funny enough, Demon's School, the game that our current music came out of, is a fantastic example of that. It was originally supposed to come out in like 2022, 2023, somewhere around there. But the company behind it said, you know what? We are going to take the time to let this bake and really make it good without trying to crush our developers' spirits. And it is a truly fantastic game as a result of it. It runs smoothly, it looks and sounds absolutely gorgeous, the combat is balanced perfectly, it has a really engaging gameplay loop.
Have you seen any random rodents recently?
No. Were you messing with the mice colony again?
No.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Uh-huh. All right, I'll be right with you in just a couple moments, sweetie. Try and get a good count of how many of them are missing, okay? All right. I'm gonna finish up this row, and then we're gonna go deal with that. But yeah, no, like, Demon School, like I said before, great example of that. On top of that, they also made good use of the extra development time to make sure that, like, their custom engine and stuff worked really, really beautifully. And I cannot wait to see what that team makes next as a result of it, you know? Oh, plus they are actively and vehemently against any generative nonsense. It is a huge boon to them, as well as the rest of the industry, that they continue to do the hard work themselves, you know what I mean? Whenever an indie devs whose Discord servers are in apologize for things taking longer, you always respond to them by telling them it's fine, and you'd rather take the time that they actually need. Yeah, it's again a big issue within the entertainment industry in general, but video games. Well, I'm not going to say video games especially, because Osiris, you and I both know that live entertainment has some crunch issues, shall we say. But like it has been spotlighted in the video game industry really strongly over the last few years that, like, yeah, producers will push to get things done as quickly as possible because they want to see a return on investment as soon as they can. And like, okay, but that is deeply, deeply unhealthy. I understand that they're the money men and that they want to see their money, yada, yada, yada. But the best financial stuff really comes from taking it slow, allowing the product to mature at a reasonable pace, and not killing your employees, sometimes in very literal ways. So yeah, anyway, yeah, hang on, I like, I keep finding things that I want to do, and I'm just like, oh, but let me just do this, and let me just do that. Because that's the thing, if your people love what they're working on, they will work on it, and they will continue to work on it for as long as it takes, you know? You don't know what I could be referring to. I hate the term return on investment, right? But okay, so let's take a break. I do need to run a commercial anyway, so let's go ahead and go to a 5-minute break. Stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff. We'll be back soon. Well, if it takes the employee's health to get the results, then you are going about it the wrong way. Exactly, Kiwi. Exactly. Tell me more about the mice. Oh, okay, so, real quick before we head out. Essentially, Elena, our local priestess, is a priestess of Fedlamid, who is a nature goddess, and so...
Presented by Zaya.
Great example of an awful company, Zaya, but one that eventually learns its lesson. But anyway, Elena negotiated with all of the normal mice and rats and various other rodents that you normally get in just any large establishment, especially one that is, so close to the forest, because immediately outside of our walls is a pretty dense forest, right? And she negotiated with them so that they understood better that, like, hey, if you all just kind of live in these colonies, we will be happy to feed you and make sure that you're well taken care of and warm and all these sorts of things. We just need you to we really need you to not, like, mess with our food pantries or anything like that. So it's kind of a negotiated truce with the mice, and the kids love taking care of them. But every once in a while, they will when they're done playing, they'll close up the colony before everyone's gotten back inside, and then do a quick count and start panicking. Well, they're born as, they originated as wild mice before we started building the place. But I guess they're not domesticated, because domesticated implies a very specific thing, but they are, I'm going to call them the local mice, here in the town of Hope. So yeah. Basically, the kids were, playing with them, and they miscounted before they closed things up. So now we need to go help some of them find their way back home. But yeah, we'll be back in 5 minutes, so stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff. Yeah, you love that Elena negotiated with the mice. Yeah, it is very on brand with her. Ooh, okay. Yeah, we'll talk about pets when we get back because I have had plenty of pets in the past. But anywho, well, when we get back. Alrighty, so how many are still out and about? Okay, five's not bad. That's not a bad miscount. Alrighty, we are back. So let's see. Okay, so if we want to talk about IRL pets, I currently do not have any, but I have had a wide variety of them in the past. But if we want to talk about in-canon pets, then yes, the kids have a few. Give me just a second to make sure that I am getting the right picture, because I also want to show off all the kids. This is the worst. This is the worst. I thought I knew where the photos were. And gotta get it into thing. Is this the photo I want? Yes, this is the photo I want. Okay. We're gonna put pointer. So lock that one. Okay, so oh, actually, you know what? Let me move this over to here so that I'm looking in the correct direction. All right, so kiddos, where? Come on, give me the thing. Thank you, pointer. Okay, so this is Dare. She was actually the first one who was born. She does not currently have any pets, but you know that's fine. That she doesn't really want any pets right now. Then we have LaFarlin, who is the second one born. He's the one who has the skunk named Mr. Grumbles. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Grumbles, we thought was just a fat old man skunk when we first found him. It turned out he was actually a she skunk, who then gave birth to a whole litter of kids, who they all primarily live in a little, I'm going to call it a shed out in the garden. It's well insulated. They have access to the interior as well, but like they're allowed to be outside. Basically, but outside in a controlled environment, so there aren't any predators that are going to come after them. They've all been de-skunked, if that makes sense. So they're not going to stink up the place, but some people still get a little bit sketched out by if her or any of the kids get into, or I should say the kits. I think kits is the correct term for skunk babies, but I don't know off the top of my head. That's what I've always called them. Elaine's never corrected me, so either she's being kind or I've got it correctly. But then there's Lila, who is our middle child. She does not have any pets, although, arguably, she treats my friend Marisette's son kind of like a pet sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. That's just ordering a little boy around. And then we have the Toro, who has a very, I'm going to describe him as an old dog. He's looked like an old dog since we found him, and that was 10 years ago, and he doesn't really look like he's aged since then, so, could just be that he's scruffy, He just calls him Dog. I never really gave him a full name. And then there is Lynn. As you can see, Lynn's adorable. She's the only one of the kids who got my teeth instead of her dad's, which, let me tell you, was a bit of an issue at a certain time of life. The rooster that she's holding is technically my rooster. His name is Jerk. But she's the only one of the kids who he will let play with her. Or he will let... Hang on, that sentence structure got away with me. Basically, she's the only... Yeah, Jerk. His name is in fact Jerk. Yep, it's on his collar. Because he's a little jerk. It was only later that I was made aware of the fact that there is a thing called jerk chicken, which I guess is kind of fun. But yeah, he's an Abyssinian Sultan in Earther terms, but around these parts we call them Willforged Giants. He's about half my height. He's a full 18 inches tall. He is a big boy, very, very fluffy, but also very, very protective. And pretty much the only person in the world other than me who he lets pick him up like that is Lynn. And a big part of it is the fact that Lynn doesn't really have a good sense of things that are dangerous. So I think it's mostly that she confuses him more than anything else because, like, well, he's a big old rooster, and therefore she should be scared of him. And she will just walk over and call him Fluffy and pick him up and then walk around with him. It's fucking adorable. But also, yeah, it's really funny. But anywho, that's all of the kids and that's all of their various pets. In the past, IRL, I have had a number of pets. The most recent of which, thank you very much for the coin toss, Coleman. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I saw you doing some really great painting work earlier. Oh, we are in nighttime. We are in danger. But yeah, no, I saw you doing some really gorgeous continuation of the paintwork on your stream earlier. Really, really cool how that's turning out. You good? Just cleaned up all your shit. Nice, nice, nice. But yeah, no, my most recent pet was like, and this is IRL, not, you know, canon to the story of Sheela, was an Abyssinian guinea pig by the name of Hamlet, who is now a character in lore because I loved him, and he passed away all too soon. He survived to be like 5 years old. And given the fact that he was the size of an American football, you know, he survived a good long while. I was really, really hoping he would make it to 8, like some Abyssinians do, but, you know, it is what it is. He was well loved, and we made the decision after he got really, really sick to allow him to pass gracefully instead of suffering. Before that, we've had a few chinchillas, the last of which lived to be about 13 years old, which is astonishingly long for a chinchilla. His name was Alabaster. We also called him Alabastard, or Al, because he was a grumpy little fluffy cloud. Yeah, no, I mean, like, it is what it is. All of our pets have been extremely well loved, and we take care of them as well as we can. But, you know, that is what it is. But yeah, we're taking a break from pets IRL right now. And, because, yeah, that was, Ham especially was a hard one to lose. We also had to say goodbye to our dog Poochie actually that one was within the last year. But again, she lived to be 12 or 13, and was a purebred Havanese. So, yeah, no, like that's it for a purebred. That's a fairly long amount of time. And we didn't get her specifically because she was a purebred. We were actually like looking at adopting services and stuff like that. But my spouse happened to run into this little meatball of a puppy. And fell in love basically immediately. So that's how we ended up with her. You had a hamster named Cloud! Oh! So, okay, part of the reason why... Yeah, I called her a meatball because, like, have you ever seen what a baby Havanese looks like? I mean, I guess furball. Furball also works, but, like, I don't know, it's just the size and rough shape of, like, a freshly made meatball. That's what it popped in. Yeah, there is meat and bones. Yeah. It's just what popped into my head, okay? But yeah, one of the things that made Hamlet so special to me was the fact that, and again, this is peeling back and speaking as the IRL person behind the face of Sheela. But Hamlet's enclosure was right beside my work desk. And actually, if you go back and look at some of my oldest streams on YouTube, you might even occasionally hear him purring. And I made his enclosure out of you know those like display grids that a lot of artists use at conventions and stuff. I made his enclosure out of those, and the side of it that was facing towards me at my desk had holes, like the grid squares were large enough that he could actually crawl out of it if he wanted to. It's a fun fact about guinea pigs: they will very quickly learn where they get their food, and even they're fully capable of climbing out of a space. Even like a little 1-inch barrier is enough to kind of define the space for them, and they will go, oh, okay, this is where I live, and they'll just stay there for most reasons. Oh, I don't need to be here, I need to be in the garage. But Hamlet was essentially an emotional support animal for me for a very long time, for his whole 5 years of living. And I don't say that in the like wee-woo way of, like, oh, he was such a good emotional support. No, I mean, like, legitimately, he was an emotional support animal for me. Like, he got me on a better eating schedule because, like, again, this is something that guinea pigs are very good at. They're actually very, very good at telling time. And so, when it was time for him to eat, he would go off like an alarm, make sure that I got up on time, make sure that like I was eating when I needed to be eating, all of those things. He really kind of helped me get my life in order in some interesting ways. So yeah, I miss my little buddy. But like, life isn't worse. Like, I don't want to say it that way, but like, I haven't like backslid or anything like that, because once you form good habits, it's easier to keep a hold of them. You remember hearing him when it was food time? I know! Like, it was fun, because, like, when we first got him, we didn't know that rumble strutting was supposed to be like a dominance thing or a threatening thing. And if you don't know what rumble strutting is, it's a thing that male guinea pigs do, either as a dominance play or as a, like, I'm trying to attract this female sort of thing. And we got him probably a little earlier than we should have gotten him. He was like, baby guinea pigs look like nothing but a head. Like it's weird. Like their bodies are so small, but their skulls grow so fast. So for a little bit, they look like nothing but a head. And so we got him at a stage where he was a very grumpy Gus and did not really get along well with the other guinea pigs in his brood? Flop? I don't know how you would describe like a generation of guinea pig babies. But he just like so we accidentally trained him that a rumble strut was like a term of endearment, and so like he would do that whenever he wanted attention, because he knew that if he started doing that, he would get held and he would get kisses and he would get treats and stuff like that. So oops, that's on us, but also like it didn't hurt him at all, so whatever. It's not like he had to deal with other guinea pigs. Because again, this was like, I know that you are normally supposed to get at least 2 guinea pigs, but we had tons of animals at that point. Litter might be the best term for it. Yes. So we still had Alabaster at the time. We had Poochie, who we got after we got Alabaster, so she was already used to dealing with very small animals and being very gentle with them. So he had plenty of family around at all times. And then there was just the fact that, I was right there basically all the time. Because as I said before, my desk was right next to his enclosure. So if he detected that, like, he would be able to spot if I was getting stressed, and then he would rumble straight his way over and start poking his head out of his enclosure, and then if I didn't react enough to that, he would actually climb out of the enclosure and crawl over my desk, and basically just be like, hey, you need to hold me now. Like, you're clearly having a bad time. He was such a good little, furball. But yeah. Yep. Eventually I would like to have guinea pigs again. But yeah, just I'm not emotionally ready for that right now. Oh, I should probably take out that part of the spire as well. Clear away this road dirt. We'll deal with that. You can feel how much you love them. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that that comes across. And I will say, again, I ended up writing a tabletop game adventure that works with a lot of OSR stuff in 5e, all about him. I made him a minor fae deity who runs a fae court named the Tablelands, because, well, again, Hamlet was very food motivated, and it just made sense that, like, you know, he would have an adventure all about gathering up food stuff so he could cook a meal for his friends. And of course, the end of the adventure, the adventurers get invited to the meal because, of course, they're his friends now. And it actually involves a lot of our former pets. Poochie's involved in the game. Al's in the game, as is Doodlebug, who was an older chinchilla that we had, who was originally paired off with Alabaster, but they eventually had to be separated because, fun fact, did you know that chinchillas hold murder grudges if they get angry with one another? So to keep them both safe, we had to separate them. But like, that's a minor plot point in there, is helping the two of them work out their differences. And yeah, no, it's just... Actually, hang on, let me... I'm curious, can I find art of Hamlet? Oh, okay, you never had... had chinchillas, so you didn't know. Fair enough, fair enough. Like, that's the thing, chinchillas are a fairly rare pet. We ended up with them because somebody who ran a local pet store, not one of those like large brands, but like just a local pet store to us, as well as like a pet rescue, ended up with a couple of chinchillas after somebody passed away in our hometown. And so like it was just okay, well now these have to go somewhere and they should go to somebody who actually knows how to deal with them. So my spouse picked them up and that was that, you know. Okay, that's pictures. Where did I stash that? Ooh. Hang on, I need to open this on the desktop to make sure that it doesn't give away any personal details, but I actually just found not just art of Hamlet, but like a full-blown photo. Okay, not that one. Not that one. Okay. So, yes, I will start by showing off this one. There we go. So, Hamlet is the big old guy on the right, and then Poochie is the dog on the left. This was when he was still fairly young, so He was not as big as he eventually got in this photo. Ba, 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 ba. And part of why I referred to him as the Little King, despite the fact that, like, obviously King Hamlet, was anytime we got him, like, those willow branch tunnels, he had a habit of chewing out the center of them and then, like, just hanging out underneath his... Exactly. It's a little crown. And so when he passed away, this was a piece of art that somebody did for me of him. And where did... him scream. Just whack. Scream. But let me see if I can find adventurer version of him. There he is. And so this is how he lives on for me, is King Hamlet the Hungry. Just the happiest little guy, always having a piece of lettuce or a bit of mango if it's a special day, all that sort of fun stuff. Oh well. Good times while they lasted, though. There was one photo that I really wish I could find that showed him at full size. That was both Hamlet and Poochie in my lap. And it is a great side-by-side because he is almost as big as the dog. He was an enormous boar by the time he got full size, and if I'm being honest, that's probably a bit of why he passed away fairly early. Because I don't think he had, like, proper gigantism or anything, but when you're dealing with an animal that is normally at a fairly small size, like 6 to 8 inches, and he gets upwards of like 1.5 feet long, yeah, that's hard on them. That's hard on their system, you know? Oh no, Poochie was easily lap-sized. Like, and granted, there are bigger dogs out in the world, but the Havanese was... so if you know what a Bichon is, you actually already know what a Havanese is, kind of. Havaneses are a Cuban off-breed of Bichons that are designed to have, like, multi-layered coats. You forgot how big Hamlet was. Okay, good. For anybody who doesn't know, yeah, Havaneses are a Cuban off-breed of a Bichon that are designed to have silkier coats instead of the big coiled coats, so that they can survive better in hot weather. But they are also bred very much to be lap dogs and companion dogs. So, yeah, that's their rough size. And it was also, again, like, Poochie grew up around Alabaster and Doodlebug, so, like, she was very, very used to dealing with rodents, and would not be aggressive with them or anything like that, which is part of the reason why we were so comfortable just letting the two of them hang out and be chill together. Because we knew that she wouldn't ever hurt him or anything like that. She's very, very used to dealing with smaller things than herself. And it was very, very funny because of the fact that he was a big, strong boar. And so every once in a while, if she did do something that got up in his space more than he liked, he would absolutely, like, chest bump her. It was so funny watching her just be like, oh, okay, all right, I am confused by this action, little brother, but okay, I will give you some space. Oh, good times, good times. I don't have any easy accessed photos of Al, because most of those are on my phone I don't think I ever transferred very many of them to the computer, and if I did, I don't know where they're at. You know, at some point I had a video of Al and Ham chirping back and forth because their enclosures, like, Al needed a bigger and actually enclosed enclosure because if you don't know anything about chinchillas, they get the zoomies approximately 90 times a day. I'm being facetious. I'm being that number is way too high. But like every once in a while, they will just wake up and feel the need to jump 6 feet vertically and just go all over the place. And so, you know, he needed an actual enclosure, but it was a very, very tall enclosure. Like I said, he had a 6 foot tall enclosure. Oh dang, that was my last. Whatchamacallit, pickaxe. Hang on, that's... Oh, excuse me. But his enclosure was fairly close to Ham's, and so they would chirp back and forth to each other. It was very, very fun and amusing. And then sometimes the dog would get involved. And especially, like, her and Al had a game where Al would, like, join her at the bottom of his enclosure. They would touch noses. He would run all the way up to the top of his enclosure and then run back down. They'd boop noses again. Then she would run all the way across the apartment and then back over to him. And they would just kind of repeat this process like a ping pong scenario. And it was adorable. All of those animals got along so well. Ham and Al occasionally had spats because, well, they were both male rodents, and so, you know, that's gonna happen at some point. Like if they're both feeling broody, they are gonna be angry with one another because they're feeling territorial. But that didn't happen too terribly often. It helped that they each had their own spaces, you know. There was one time where Al's enclosure did not get closed properly in the evening, and when we woke up the next day, we found Poochie curled up with him, just kind of preventing him from getting in too much trouble, and it was adorable. That's nice. You got the same here. Most of them don't get along or don't care about each other. So what kind of animals do you have? You mentioned that you have a lot of pets yourself. And so now I'm curious about what you've got. Tell me all about your fur babies. Okay, let's see. You know what, while we're here, let's go ahead and get rid of some rubble. It's okay, the stream is about you, not me. Fair enough, fair enough. But I like hearing about other people's fur babies. Like, closest thing I've got at this point is well, obviously, in canon we've got all the animals with kids. But we've also got a fair number of critters that live in and around the forest around us, because we actually IRL do have a forest around us. So right now we are seeing a huge influx of bird species. So our blue jays have come back, the robins were never really left actually. But they are living their best life in the spring. We have foxes, we have rabbits, all sorts of good little critters. So let's craft all that. There were coyotes. I'm really hoping that they managed to survive the winter, because originally we knew that there were at least 3 coyotes, but one passed away last winter, and then this previous winter we only ever saw a single, coyote, so we're hoping that they're still doing okay. You got 2 Shiba Inus, 1 cat you took from the street a couple months ago. Ah, the random cat distribution network strikes again. Fish, geckos, a few ants, lemmings, African mice, snakes, and other animals before. Neat. Very, very cool. Real quick, did I... Oh, wait a minute. This doesn't belong here. This belongs in here. I have 1 repair kit, so let's take a look. Let's hit the 25 one. Pickaxe, there we go. Fish are hard. I have tried to have fish in the past, and the only one who survived for any appreciable amount of time was a betta fish named Cerulean, named after the color that he was. And mostly just called him Sir. But he lasted somewhere between 3 and 5 years, if I recall correctly. I don't really have a lot of strong memories from when I was a kid. It's the trauma that I won't go into on stream, but you know. But I do remember that fish surviving for a good long time. Also had a Dalmatian named Perdita because I was one of those little kids. She lived to be about 12? 11? Real long for a Dalmatian. And the story of how I got her is real fun, at least as far as I'm concerned, because we went to a breeder. My parents were responsible enough to make sure that we were going to a breeder that actually, like, did the work to, like, not inbreed the Dalmatians. So while she was a purebred, she was not inbred, if that makes sense. And you know, they were trying to get me to try and play with a whole bunch of the dogs. It's like, okay, well, this is the current litter. You know, here are ones who are currently on offer. And Perdita just shoved every other puppy out of the way to get as close to me as possible. And she kept doing that. So you might say that she chose me more than I chose her. Because she would not let anyone else be near me, and she was like, nope, this one's mine. Nope, Yes, indeed she did. Exactly. Yeah. Let's see, what else? I have had cats in the past. I can no longer have cats because once I didn't have a cat, an allergy that I guess had been somewhat suppressed, or I'd been able to kind of ignore the worst parts of, reared its ugly head, and suddenly I could not deal with being around cats, which is a shame because cats are good. But I like being able to breathe out of my nose. Once you get used to being able to do that, it's hard to go back, you know? But yeah, no, I had a cat named Mia when I was real little. I barely remember her because she passed away when I was 4. I just remember big fluffy white Persian. That's about it. That's the strongest memory I have, but according to my parents, I loved her a lot, so, you know, gotta kind of take a... You were 100% adopted by Purdy. I was. Let's see. And then I almost had another cat as a teenager. My then partner, now spouse, and I found a really itty-bitty little cat, like just a little itty-bitty kitten, trapped in a fence. And just absolutely screaming. We were... Oh, hello?
Mom, have you seen Mr. Grumbles?
No, sweetie. Where'd you lose track of her?
Can you help me find her?
Sure thing. Give me just a moment. Right with you. I know we didn't do laundry today, but I know that Truthos was running laundry last night, so the dryer might still be pretty warm. So go check there first, okay? So yeah, my spouse and I were interrupted, shall we say, by the screaming of a tiny, tiny cat who had gotten her head stuck in a chain link fence. She tried to go forward, couldn't go forward any further, and didn't figure out that she could go backwards. And so we extracted her from that. After which point she became basically mute. We used to joke that she used up all of her meows during that incident. And we were weighing the options of like, okay, well, do we like try to keep this? Do we take her to the ASPCA? What do we do? And my dad got home and walks in with her in hand. My dad being like very similar to me of like, okay, I've my last cat, or like his last cat had passed away at that point, and so he was like, I'm gonna be done with animals for a little while. Walks in with this kitten in his hands and is just like, so, I guess I have a cat again. And then he proceeded to love that cat for as long as she lived. Oh yes, you understand. You didn't get one because your partner was allergic to them so long, and in the past few years he seemed better with those that are best friends. So Bohemian is your first cat, and he's not allergic to him at all. Nice, 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 nice. Either exposure therapy or hey, sometimes we just change as we get older and we gain and lose allergies. It is what it is. But okay, speaking of animals, I'm gonna go help find Mr. Grumbles. I'm hoping that she is just hanging out by the dryer, because she always seems to find the warmest place in the keep. So yeah, we'll be back in 5 minutes. I'm gonna run a commercial. I will see you all on the other side, all right? Okay, so if no, she's not in the dryer, the laundry room. Okay, well, oh, the library. The sun's coming in through the windows. welcome back. Let's see. Realistically, I should have waited to sleep until I was back from my break, and I only realized that after I already reset the timer. Oh well. Oh, I hope everybody's continuing to have a good day. I feel like I've got something in my throat, but I've taken several drinks to try and shake it loose. I shouldn't be coming down with anything because I haven't really been out recently. But, you know, that is working in a public service industry. Sometimes you catch stuff from people who come to you. And working in an adult industry where you catch something from people who come to you. But, you know, okay, the joke was there. I had to make it. It's a cat in the throat. Maybe. Excuse you. Thank you. Collect. It said collect. Thank you. This is your regularly scheduled reminder to please play Paradise Killer if you have not already. It is such a good game, and I want more people to talk to about it. Like, genuinely, Paradise Killer is one of those games that really deserves to be talked about more. But also, it's a very difficult game to talk about without giving away its most interesting twists and turns. It's on my short list of games that I would absolutely want to put in, like, historical preservation. Like, that's how good of a game it is. From the aesthetics, to the music, to the actual gameplay, to the story, it is all such a wonderfully tightly written and made game. It perfectly encapsulates a very specific aesthetic while not sugarcoating the awful parts of that aesthetic. In its case, it's late 1970s, early 1980s Miami aesthetic. And it serves as a fantastic reminder that while sure, there are a lot of cool things to be nostalgic from that era was not a good time for a lot of people. You know what, let's split this off. I'm going to make one section of this a nice square that we can come back to later. And again, I'm struggling to even discuss why it's good at what it does without getting into spoiler territory. It's incredible. Please play it. You can usually find it on sale on Steam and at various other retail outlets for gaming. So you owe it to yourself to give it a shot, you know? And the game that the company behind it made afterwards, Promise Mascot Agency, is also a fantastic experience, but it does very different things. It's one of the strongest pieces of Showa-era Yakuza material outside of films from the Showa era. And yet it's a game about organizing a mascot agency for really strange, absurd characters in a small town. That seems like it would not mesh well, but I promise you it does. There is also another game that was made by a lot of the same devs and musical artists, but was not made by the same company officially, called Sorry We're Closed, that is all about some of the tragic circumstances of love in a downtrodden world. Again, please, please, please check these games out. They are oh so good. Wait, why doesn't... Oh... Every time I think I've gotten all of the stuff in this playlist working correctly, something else pops up, missing an image or something like that. This should be from the Twilight Princess soundtrack, if I recall correctly. Yes, this is the Hyrule Field main theme from the Twilight Princess original soundtrack. I got this CD as a subscriber to Nintendo Power way back in the day. Goodness gracious, I remember when magazines used to do cool little subscriber bonuses. Ugh. Not to, like, shake my cane at the universe, but it is a shame that we really lost that as the subscription model got out of hand on things. Thank you very much for the hydration, Kiwi. Hang on just a second, that is a fantastic idea. That was a good drink of water. Thank you very much. But yeah, like, Nintendo Power Magazine, you're back from the war, unlurk. Oh no, what were you doing? Were you doing runs in Marathon, Osiris? Oh, that's right, because this is your last weekend to get into cryo, until before the season break. Yeah, we need to do some cryo runs before all of our stats and stuff get reset. No, it was a war on body odor. Oh, well, that's fair, that's fair. Like, there's a certain point where, like, I'm like, okay, well, but people are doing a little bit too much about body odor, where they care a little too much, but then there are also times when it's like, okay, but no, go take a shower. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to get too in your own head and go all the way out the other side of that. I'm looking at you, teenagers, wearing way too much Axe body spray indoor perfume. But you will be doing marathon runs shortly. Nice, nice. Brenda accidentally called a shower a soap wet clean the other day, and it lives in your head rent-free. Oh, yeah. This is more war and feeling gross. Fair enough. Like, that's the thing. There is a difference between clean and masking the scent, if you know what I mean. Which, ugh. I don't know. I blame Victorian Europeans for that one because, like, they had such an obsession with, like, oh, well, I'm not gonna wash, but I am going to just wear massive amounts of perfume. And it's like, okay, but you still smell rank. It's just now you also smell, like, weird on top of that. Hello, Keegan! Hello. It's been a hot minute since we last saw each other. How are you doing? Let's see, what were you playing? Asaria Fantasy Kingdom Sim. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. Tell me more about it. You don't need to be called out by that. You had 2 different kinds of Axe body spray in high school. You also showered nightly. Okay, but Osiris, you weren't the one that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kids who, like, I'll put it this way. Back when I was teaching college, there was one student who I could smell coming from the next building over. He walked around in a fucking cloud of Axe body spray. And again, we are old enough that we were in high school when Axe really came out and became popular. So you remember how you could practically see the air when dude bros were just being like, oh, but I need to smell like this scent. And just, I can't breathe. I can feel the particles in my throat. Hello there! Lasaria is a fantasy kingdom management game that's very much inspired from an old game called Majesty. That rings a bell. You build a bit of economy, adventurers guilds, and instead of controlling them, you place bounties. Oh, hang on. On tasks. So sometimes you have to pay more or less depending on the task, the adventurer's level, etc. Yeah. That definitely sounds very familiar. I had more fun with those kinds of sim games than a lot of others because, like, it's weird when it gets to like shop simulator games. I just want to engage with the actual shop itself. I don't want to engage with the like going off on adventures and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, Moonlighter is a very cool way of pushing that kind of atelier game system further. Thank you very much for the actual size. I appreciate it. But there are definitely times where I'm just like, okay, but I don't want to also be the adventurer. I just want to run the shop. Can I do that, please? And that can be a little difficult sometimes. But yes, I have a huge soundtrack backlog that I use during Hytale streams to make sure that we have good stuff going on, and it's music that doesn't need to go away in my VODs because video game soundtracks tend not to get flagged by YouTube stuff. Ooh. Thank you very much for the stretch. Oh, good stretch. Have you never seen the actual size stickers, Keegan? So it's a combination of a couple of things. One, the fact that due to Twitch TOS, I can't actually be properly on model. Again, if you've ever seen any of the art that's made about me, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. These are sizable assets for sure, but it's a fun routine. But yeah, no. It has to do with, like I said, I can't be properly on model because I would violate Twitch terms of service. And so, like, that is kind of the, like, well, here's about the size of a certain part that is not shown in order to not get kicked off the platform. But that is usually shown in art and things. But also just the fact that I love actual size stickers in real life. Like, they are one of the funniest non-destructive pranks that you can pull. There were a few years where, like, I had a whole bunch of actual size stickers printed up that I would just slap on things. So, like, you know, like, oh, hey, this light post, actual size. You know, this rubber ball, actual size. It was just like I said, non-destructive prank, and it always got like a bit of a double take from people because it's like, okay, this is a real world object. This isn't even a box for the object. The thing itself is just labeled actual size. So fucking fun. But somebody also made me aware of the fact that the As Seen on TV logo has entered the public domain recently. So I may add that as like a 1 in 10 rotation on the actual size redeem. Because I think that would also be funny. Because arguably, if you're using a television as a screen, I have it on TV, you know? Uh-oh. Dang it. Inventory's full. And then we have the soundtrack for Wandering Sword, which, if you have not heard of Wandering Sword, please go check some of the VODs that I did for my run through it. I easily played over 100 hours of that game. And honestly, I didn't even finish all of it on stream because the last DLC came out and I was already in the end game and I couldn't get to it anymore. But if you are a fan of martial arts films in general, or wuxia in particular, you will absolutely love Wandering Sword. It is truly amazing, and I cannot wait to see what that studio does next. Oh, no, you don't go there. See. And that should be good enough for now. Oh, I will put a thorium pickaxe, which is now broken away so I don't lose it somewhere. Okay. Okay. Dang it, why is the image for this one not working either? This is from Bokoro no Taiyo, or Baktai, which is an amazing Game Boy Advance series, plus one or two entries on the DS. I know there's at least one, but I think there might have been a second one. This was a side project for Kojima Productions of Metal Gear fame. And you can definitely feel it in some of the gameplay because there are stealth sections which are very, very reminiscent of the early Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid games. But it's all about fighting vampires with the power of the sun, including when the Game Boy Advance games even had a built-in solar sensor so that you would actually have to kind of control how much sunlight you were sitting in to change the environment of the world. It was very, very fun. I had way too much fun as a kid covering the solar sensor and waiting until the little zombie enemies got to a place where I knew they would be in front of a window, and then uncovering the sensor and watching them scream and then go poof into a pile of ash. It was very, very fun. Yeah, check it out if you have no idea what I'm talking about. I have a tabletop RPG that's been sitting on the back burner for a very, very long time because I need to finish the map assets for it. That was directly inspired by Baktai. And I really, really need to finish that project. It's so close to being done. Because I know I have at least one person who is dying to play it on stream. And I'm sad that I have disappointed them with all of these delays. But yeah, no, it's I'm in a weird place with tabletop games right now because I played them regularly, like we're talking multiple times a week for a while. And then between outside stress and some things that happened in the industry, I just burned out, you know? It didn't help that one of my main co-creators for a lot of my games has kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. Like, oh, I hope he's doing well. I'm sure he's fine. I still see him pop up online every once in a while, but I know he had some family stuff going on, so I don't want to pry too much. But like, yeah, losing the ability to work directly with him took a lot of the wind out of my sails, you know? It also didn't help that Proto Drive, which is my biggest project so far, is as big as it is. It needs to be that big. Like that is like a huge important part of the system. Like it is intended to be a fairly complex system, but also that means that it has taken up a huge amount of time. Yeah, you hope he's well too. Me too, bud. Me too. yeah, I have so many game ideas that I want to get finished one day, and a lot of them will end up being very art-like games because of the fact that I am not much of a visual artist myself. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that they're not worth playing, you know? It's a little harder to sell an art-like game, just because these days everybody always, like, assumes you're gonna have access to an artist, and I only have so much money to pay people, and anybody who works on my projects is getting paid for their time, but that means that if I can't afford it, then I don't get any art, you know what I mean? I can only create so much. I can only have so many disciplines that I'm skilled in. My art has gotten better over the last couple of years, but especially since the pandemic, I only have so much energy in a given day. Yeah, no, like, not to get maudlin on stream or anything, but on top of having caught COVID a couple of times, once before it was even a pandemic, it was even just labeled as unknown or upper respiratory illness. And I went to the hospital with it. It was quite the experience, shall we say. And then a second time, due to somebody else's malicious intent, no joke, somebody like who I don't know the name of, and probably for legal reasons I wouldn't want to share it even if I did, but intentionally infected a bunch of people in my life, and so that's a whole thing. But then on top of that, like, that part of it, what, like, the actual, like, forced break, and even though it was short for people in the US, everybody kind of was forced to go on, and myself especially, because I work in the entertainment industry, like, wasn't very much live entertainment going on, you know? That was the first time I'd had a break in my entire adult life. And I did not realize how ragged I had been running myself. Until I had that break where I had to stay home and I had to slow down and stop doing things. It was a wild experience, and on the one hand, there are days when I miss my ability to work sometimes 20 hours a day, sleep for 4 hours, and then wake up and do it again the next day. But also, I don't know how I survived, looking back on it, you know? And when I started teaching again after we started having classes again, it really became, like, I'd always been a proponent of making sure people were taking their breaks appropriately, making sure that people were doing, like, fewer hours in a day. Like, 8 out of 10s is one thing, but, like, 8 out of 10s is fine, okay? But 10 out of 12s and 12 out of 14s are fucking unacceptable, and I've known that for a long time. But once I actually was forced to slow down, it was... I started pushing for change in the industry so much harder. It was during that break that you spent 2 full months recovering from that horrendous schedule. You don't know how you survived either. Yeah. And thank you very much. I love soundtracks. A soundtrack is a big part of what makes or breaks a game for me. Whether it will be memorable for me or not, because a lot of my, like, the way that I experience the world is audio. My strongest 2 senses are touch and hearing. And so, well, obviously you can't really touch a video game, so if a video game has an absolute banger of a soundtrack, there is a good chance I will enjoy it and get sucked into the story of it. And Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, like, I'm going to say that it suffered from being a GameCube exclusive, but that's not a slight against either it or the GameCube. Because I think it worked best as a GameCube exclusive because of how GameCube had interactivity with the Game Boy Advance, how you could connect Game Boy Advances to the GameCube and turn them into controllers for the game. It made playing that game as a four-person team a manageable experience, even on like 240i TVs way back in the day, because everybody had their own screen where they could get to their inventory and things like that. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I just wish that the GameCube had done better in the United States and more people had the opportunity to experience that. Oh, that being said, if you have access to a Switch and Switch Online, they did a really fantastic job of bringing Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles to the Switch, because only one person needs to own it, and as long as everybody has Switch Online, they can just join the game and play on their own screen. It's so good. I'm so happy with how they updated it. 10 out of 12's got worse when everybody decided that the 2 hours of meal break would happen consecutively in the middle of the day instead of being a proper lunch and dinner break separately. Oh my goodness, right? Right? That sounds like a way, way better than Mario Kart 64 4-player with everyone getting one little corner of the screen. Yeah. And I understand why Mario Kart 64 did it that way, because that was the style at the time, says Abe Simpson as he hitches up his pants and talks about an onion. But yeah, no, it was a thing that like the GameCube could do a lot of really cool and interesting things that really never got taken advantage of in the United States, because our infrastructure was different from that of Japan. Like for instance, by the time the GameCube came out, Japan already had an extremely well-established network infrastructure. For instance, like you could actually get like satellite-based games on at least as far back as the SNES, if not the original Nintendo Entertainment System. Look up the Satellaview system for good details, but they also had like ground network games where you could download demos and things straight to your SNES through the phone lines. It was extremely cool. And like they even had like a whole news distribution system via like the NES and things like that, where essentially you'd have to look up, I think it was Technology Connections that did a section on it, but I could be misremembering which of the technology-based YouTube essays showed it off. But like, essentially, like, there are a couple of lines in the broadcast in PAL regions that aren't really used in broadcasts, and so they would use those to transmit data to home computers, and you could essentially get a whole newspaper and email system going without having to pay for the internet, as long as you had like a television license, if that was required in your home country. But anyway, fast forward to the GameCube era, where like, okay, this network infrastructure has existed for decades at this point, and you get early versions of GameCube-based MMOs and other cool things like that. Like, I forget what the name of the game was, but it was somewhat of a roguelike, or at least what we would describe as a roguelike nowadays, where essentially you would set up one GameCube as a server, and then essentially the person in control of that GameCube would be in control of a dungeon that others could connect to and run through as a party. And so it was an interesting combination between what we would consider to be an MMO, a roguelike, and what would be more familiar to like people who play TTRPGs, because you have one GM and a party of players. And it was a very, very cool experience. Never came out in the United States, because even to this day, the United States' network infrastructure is nothing compared to what Japan's is. And granted, some of that has to do with size. The United States is an enormous country with huge sections of it that just do not have the level of infrastructure needed to take care of things like that. Sorry, I saw an alert on one of my secondary screens. And it's just because, like, you know, the East Coast and the West Coast are thousands of miles apart. in the middle of the country, while, like, for instance, the Midwest is extremely well connected. Then you've got, like, you go a little further west than that, and you run into, like, Idaho, which is extremely rural, has a lot of people who value land rather over community. And I am poking fun at that because, like, holy shit, y'all, that's not a healthy way to live. And would rather, you know, have theirs rather than support each other or be part of something larger than themselves. Like I said, not exactly a healthy way to live, but hey, you know, if that's how they choose to live, that's how they choose to live. And that is their choice. Just wish they would stop making it everybody else's problem, as it were. But anyway, then there's also just the fact that it's very difficult to, like, even if all of those areas suddenly decided as a group, hey, yes, we want to be connected, we want to, like, start using this land for things like power and infrastructure projects, because otherwise it's just sitting fallow and it's not even really doing that much for preservation or anything. You would still have to deal with the fact that mountains exist. From a French perspective, having several time zones in one country sounds wild. That's one way for you to never forget. Yes, US is enormous. It is truly enormous. Like, it holds no candle to somewhere like Russia. Russia is bonkers huge. Yeah. It's funny because when you see a country that has only one time zone, it's odd to... Well, I mean, but like that's the thing, Osiris. You and I have lived with multiple time zones our entire life, and so, like, it's one of those that your life experience defines what's normal for you, you know? Let's see where... That's very true. Oh, speaking of games with banger soundtracks, we're back around to the Okami soundtrack. You want to talk about a game that is a piece of art. The Okami... The entirety of Okami's ecosystem is art. Just, it is art. It is art. The whole point of the game started off as a way of expressing ukiyo paintings in an interactive format and transforming them into something that you could live in.
Experience beige.
Ow. But why though? You would very much not like to not have daylight savings time be normal. Yep. You did your second playthrough of Okami on stream not long ago. You finished it like a week ago. First playthrough in about 15 years. It was as much of a gym as I remembered. So, okay. One of the big things I was actually about to talk about is the fact that when they moved Okami from the PlayStation 2, where it started, up to the Wii, not only did we get the glorious usage of motion-based controls, which just fits the system so much better than simply working with a controller, in my opinion, but they also added more areas to it. Where did the game end for you? And or actually, I guess I should ask, what system did you play it on? Because again, like the Wii version, they added a couple of areas that weren't in the original PlayStation 2. And it was really fascinating to me how the Wii version, like, I didn't know it when I first played it, so I thought we were coming up to the end of the game, because that is where the game originally ended. And they were like, okay, but what if we dove further into Japan's history and mythology? And so each new area after that went back in time, essentially, until we got to the very, very earliest versions of myths from the Japanese Isles, even from before Clan Yamato came over and took the islands over. You played on Wii for the first playthrough, you played the HD version on Steam for the second one. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the HD version on Steam still has all of the content. Using the brush on Wii felt super good. Shaking the Wiimote to strike and fight, not so much. Okay, valid. 100% valid. Brush with controller was okay. He was expecting worse, but it was still a good experience. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, actually getting to paint was wonderful. Yeah, I do wish that there was... Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, I wonder if there is a mod for the Steam version that allows you to use motion controls. Because if there is, I would absolutely play that on stream. Because again, the next phase in updating my streaming setup is going to be a Steam frame, which is going to give me easy access to motion controls, you know? Painting attack strokes was a little bit hard, that's true. So if you could do like a hybrid where like you only use the motion controls for the paintings, I think that would be a great kind of middle ground, you know? They keep bumping around an idea for a proper Okami 2 every once in a while. And I wish they would just go ahead and do it. But in any case... Oh geez, we are out of pickaxes again. These are getting a little harder to make each time. Simply because I am running out of materials. You got a Wii U, which you definitely did not mod, so you can play with all the Wii games you never finished or never got to play. Nice, 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 nice. We love community support for outdated video game systems. But yeah, the fact that Okami also kind of started off as another one of those games that spun out of the failed original version of Resident Evil 4 is amazing to me. Because it did. Like, it started out in the same way that Devil May Cry did, out of a build of Resident Evil 4 that just then didn't work, and that they then took in a completely different direction. Yeah, I don't remember exactly how the transition happened, but it was like they were working on the mechanics with motion controls and stuff like that, and so like the idea of drawing with the motion controls kind of occurred to them, or like doing swiping attacks and things like that, and then it kind of spread into, okay, well, you know, what if we do this? What if we do that? What if we try this? And oh, hello?
The fire brought a gross bug inside again.
Do you let it loose, or does he still have a hold of it?
It's in a jar, but Lynn's looking at it like it's candy.
Of course she is. Okay, give me just a second, sweetie. I'll be right with you. So after a quick search, it seems some people made it possible to play with motion control on PC. Yes! Awesome. I love to hear that. I will definitely have to check out whether or not I can run it. It's outside of the normal genre of games that I play on stream, but I think I can make an exception for that one, because Okami is worth it. Yes, Baten Kaitos! Oh! There's another game that got a re-release on Switch that, again, more people need to play, honestly. I remain extremely upset that the Baroque collection did not get released here in the United States. I understand that it is a super niche game. I fully understand that. But I want to play the original game in its full context in a legal manner. You know what I mean? Like, I got to play the PlayStation 2 version, and I have played a patched version of the Sega Genesis original, but I would love to play it on stream. It's one of my favorite horror games of all time. Best era of Motoi Sakuraba, in your opinion? GBA GameCube was where he made most of your favorite tracks. Fair enough, fair enough. That is, honestly, good choices. Good choices. Never managed to get a copy of it, but a friend lent their game to you for a little while. I had GameCube copies of both the original game and the sequel. They were both fantastic games. And again, if you can, if anybody in the audience has no idea what we're talking about, but you have Switch, please, please, please try out Baten Kaitos. It does some interesting things as far as gameplay mechanics go. It certainly wasn't the first game to ever do like card-based RPG mechanics, but it really, really locked in a really cool way of doing it. And on top of that, the story of the game it's fascinating in ways that break the fourth wall without making it feel like it's being Deadpool-y about it. And that's not me saying that Deadpool is not a good thing. It's just, it's not irreverent about it. The main character is aware of us, the player, but nobody else is. And there's a really valid story reason for that, and some really cool and interesting lessons to be learned from the game. But that's something we can talk about more when I get back from this break. So everybody stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff. I'm gonna run a commercial, and I'm gonna go make sure that the littlest one does not eat a bug that her brother is trying to feed her. So yeah, we'll be back in 5 minutes, okay? Alright, at least tell me it's like a regular colored bug and not like one of the weird iridescent ones. Alrighty, let's head down into the mines. Thank you very much for the hydrate, Osiris. Always appreciated. So let's see. I don't think we need any cobblestone right now. So let's... Yeah, let's work the basalt mine for a minute. Because I know that copper was relatively common in this area. But I found the vast majority of my copper in my even lower down mine, but I'm hesitant to go down there because there's not really much more expansion I can do at the base level. Oh, that's right, I was finding iron more here. Okay, well, we'll finish this, and then maybe we'll go back up to the cobble mine just up above. Hope for more copper there. Okay, so let's start strip mining this a little bit more. So part of what took me out of TTRPGs, out of the like constant playing of TTRPGs I was doing for a while anyway, was some of the I'm gonna use the term drama, but I don't mean that like in like the YouTube gossip way, but like just some of the really awful stuff that happened in the industry a couple of years ago. Not the least of which was the way that Wizards of the Coast was acting for a hot minute. And like, I don't know, it just took a lot of the love out of it for me. But obviously, like, indie games are not the same thing. They're made by, like, I know a lot of people who work in indie games who do really great work and are making amazing things. Nathan Blades, for instance, is about to launch a Kickstarter working with the folks from I think it's Three Sales, for City of Espers, which I actually had the honor of being in the preview actual play for. It is a card resolution based system, and it does a bunch of really cool things, so I gotta do some counting. But it's extremely queer, it's extremely out there. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 gets us over to there. Like if you know the kind of like early Shibuya aesthetic, or like the early aughts Shibuya aesthetic that was very well established by The World That Ends With You in the West, then you know exactly the kind of aesthetic that this game has. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. WotC really killed all the goodwill and good feelings in D&D. It did, it did. And a lot of people still play it. And I do not blame them. They're just trying to get their fix. Or they're not aware of the awfulness that goes on behind the scenes. Because, you know, not everybody realizes that, like, hey, the Pinkertons got called on somebody over cards accidentally getting into their hands during a pre-release. You know, they weren't aware of the blatant racism in a couple of the modules. You know, it's 2, 3. Like, part of me wants to think, okay, well, but everybody's got to be aware of the stuff in, like, Curse of Innistrad. Or not Curse of Innistrad, Castle of Strahd. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Curse of Strahd. Oh, yeah. WotC releasing Innistrad and Strahd so close to each other. Innistrad was a Magic the Gathering set, and then Curse of Strahd was a revival of the old Ravenloft stuff. And they did some stuff to improve Curse of Strahd from its original, but obviously not enough. Even VTM has come to grips with how it treats Romani people better than Wizards of the Coast's property has. Oh shit. Well, boo. Okay, well, Seems we have more space to deal with now. And also, I have not found a single piece of copper in this area. Like, I used to have so much copper at all times. I'm very confused by this. This is a problem. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go up top. Use thing up here to... Alright, first things first, let's recycle this. Next thing's next. Really? It doesn't have access to the rubble from stuff way downstairs? I guess not. Alright, hang on. Yeah. Alright. We have some rubble. We can make stone pickaxes. Just don't want to make stone pickaxes because they break super duper fast, but hey, that's what we got access to right now. Access to copper. I'm fine with using lower quality gear. It's just at a certain point it stops being reasonable to use lower quality gear simply because, like, it takes so much longer to mine things, you know? Like, thankfully I'm not really having to deal with volcanic rock right now. Though I may need to go down that deep to get more minerals. So what were we talking about before? Oh, right, tabletop stuff. Okay, hang on. That's not that bad. We can... block off this area. Oh. You know, it helps if I light the area, though. Okay, so, tabletop stuff. I was talking about Caster's new game that's going to be coming to crowdfunding soon. That's a whole hell of a lot of fun. It's extremely queer, it's extremely Shibuya coded. Let's see, what else? Tom Bloom's games are fascinating as always. If you have played Lancer, you have played something that he had a hand in making. Which, if you have not played Lancer, how at this point? How are you on one of my streams and if you haven't played Lancer? Simply because, like, that seems to be the main crowd. We all share the mecha perversion, as it were. Oh, really? I'm out of dirt? Okay. Dirt is such a strange thing to be out of in this game. But hey, I guess that's what I did to myself. Not that it's apropos of anything in particular, but I saw a post the other day about how you can really tell when anime changed from being made by mecha perverts to being made by regular perverts, and like, I hate to break it to you, those are the same people. Those are the exact same people. Really, really want to play another Lancer campaign, you would endeavor to not build quite such a complex build. Yeah, I appreciate you, buddy, but also, you do tend to build the most complicated mage builds imaginable. For better and for worse. And like, those builds do cool things, but also, you gotta be able to play them in an efficient way, you know? Oh, I see a green glow over there. At this point, I'm really just trenching out how far this can go. Which you now understand is not for everyone else. When you have to take 20 minutes to keep track of everything you can do. Yeah, exactly. Like, and you've definitely gotten better about that over the years. Yeah, no, it is a little taxing when one person's turn takes forever and then you get to the another player and they're like, okay, I hit the one thing. Here you go. granted, like, in tabletop games, it is fun to have the power fantasy. I am not saying that at all. But, I don't know, it's part of the reason why I started looking into other game systems in the first place, was trying to find ways of telling more collaborative stories. Combat games are a lot of fun. I am... like, that's the thing. I don't like conflict in real life, but combat games, on the other hand? Interesting. Tell me more. I don't know what exactly that says about me as a person, but... Up. Nope. Hopefully it's not too bad of a thing. Hello again, and welcome back, I suppose. I was having dinner. All good, all good. I hope it was a good dinner. Yay, I found some copper. This is the whole reason I was down here in the first place, was finding more copper. We were just talking about preferences in TTRPG games and things like that. And so, like, the combat TTRPGs are kind of the easy entry level, because people tend... What the... Oh, Jesus, okay. Not a friend, not a friend. Oof. Oh, I hate doing that, but... Again, not a friend. Which is a shame, because they're adorable. Meanwhile, over in Shadowrun, Gobbet is friend. Gobbet is best girl. We're up there? No. Hey, there's that Promise Mascot Agency stuff I was talking about earlier. The absolutely filthy saxophone. Oh, work internet just went down. Uh-oh. I'm sorry for your loss and or gaining of time? I'm not sure which. Boo-ray, perhaps. Seriously. Going mad on the fucking saxophone on this track. You're gonna hopefully give you this hour. You need to finish the PO. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, sometimes when the network goes down, it ends up being a good thing just because, like, well, now you've got time to work on the thing that you wanted to be working on in the first place, but had to kind of get sidetracked into other things. Let's see. Is there anything I can stash right now? Not particularly, actually. Alright, I need to check exactly which track this is because it fucking slaps. Touched by Death. Neat. Very cool. Okay, so there is kind of a ceiling. Fitting since the saxophonist doesn't seem to be breathing very much. Nope. Sure doesn't, does he? And then we immediately go into Animal Crossing, which is so much more chill. Oop, bonk. Oh, hello? Did I accidentally just break into somebody's house? Hello? Well, this is weird. Oh, it's this guy! Hello! I'm so sorry for breaking into your house by accident. I will make sure not to dig too much in this direction then, sir. I'm so sorry. I'll go back out through the hole I came in via. Ow. Well, thankfully that's higher than I need to be going. So that should be easy enough to avoid. Okay, so let's continue our digging. What was was that an actual hole in his home? So there's a hole in his cellar. That leads into this cave structure, which is a really cool and interesting way of doing that. Like, there are natural connections all throughout the world. I love it. Must be for ventilation. Must be, right? But thankfully, this strip mine area is well below the level of his cellar. So shouldn't cause any major issues. What was I talking about before? Oh, right. Okay, so branching out into less combat-focused TTRPGs. It's part of the inspiration behind So That Others May Live, one of the games that I actually designed. Because the entire point of that game is that the players are part of an up to 3-person search and rescue team. And so the whole idea there is that you are facing the worst that the world can send your way, and the entire resolution system behind it is around answering questions about how the situation is getting worse as this disaster unfolds. The whole point is to simulate that struggle rather than the struggle to survive against, like, firearms or swords and sorcery and stuff like that. And you can certainly introduce those items into the game, but it's at its core about dealing with disasters. Yeah, and that's just a fun thing to me. Like, trying to figure out other things that a game can focus on. What the? Excuse me? No, thank you? How did I get... What? Hold up. Hi, Newton. Oh no, was I digging in the wrong direction? Oh, beans. 'Cause, okay. There's that entrance. Okay. Hang on a second. I need to go this direction. I might have been digging in the wrong direction, you guys. Congratulations, Sudden Lakefront property. Yep. Oh, okay, so I wasn't digging in the wrong direction. I just dug too far. Okay, well, we have water. Hang on a second. I wonder... Did I just find an underground river? I did find an underground river. Uh-oh. Okay. Hang on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Whew. Okay. Well, that's fun. Oops. My bad? Okay, where's the side passage? There's the side passage. Okay. Uh-oh. Bob. There we go. Okay. Alright, now we have a better idea of just how far we're gonna end up needing to go eventually. As well as some unfortunate holes into some caverns. But that'll be something I get to deal with later because, let's see. It's not terribly many. But hey, I think we might have reached the weirdness of the water by the river between our houses. It's entirely possible. Let's see. Okay, I've got some stuff to cook. I've got some stuff. Throw in the forge. Okay, let's grab that. This will probably just give me cobble back, but that's fine. Oh wow, that actually gave me more than I thought I was gonna get. Let this burn. There we go. Okay, we can load that with a stick. Come back here. Bop, bop, bop. And put another stick in there. Oh, actually, hang on. Was it Alt? There we go. Okay. Oh, this also has some sticks in it. Well then, I don't need to transfer these like I thought I did. But yeah, no, it wouldn't surprise me because, like, I'm just trying to think about, like, the terrain. That probably is kind of an underwater reservoir in the area between our houses. Oh, boo, I need to go get more lumber. I think... Yeah, I've only got a couple of pieces of oak log left as well. Let's see. Oh, okay, that's gonna be part of what we do later. Really love the icon art in this game. It is very, very telling about what each item actually is. I really appreciate that. Boom powder we've got over in the other area. Eventually, just about everything is going to get moved over here. Like, I'm most of the way through that process at this point, but there's still some stuff to be done. We've got medium and heavy leather. Okay, interesting. Didn't realize I had heavy leather. Seems like it's good a place as any for that. Some dirt. Oh, wait a minute. I have tons of lumber over here. Okay, let me just grab some of that then. Or actually, you know what? Let's grab the beech instead, because I don't really do a lot of building with softwood. But I like how the hardwood stuff looks, so I'll keep hardwood for construction purposes. And that there, send that there, in. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted to send. I will organize that later. Kiwi, do you still have 1 billion chests, or am I thinking of somebody else? Because I remember somebody made a whole bunch of chests by accident a week or so ago. Because if so, I may need to come and abscond with some of those. They're in the chest by the crash site. Fair enough. Oh, right, because, yeah, of course, you stored all of the spare chests inside the giant chest. That makes all the sense in the world. Alright, I'm gonna come steal some of those real quick. Hello, Mr. Bear. But also, okay, I don't know if you were here before, but I would swear that these shoots of bamboo are new. Boomer and Allegra put them in the basement. Okay, cool. Cool. Now I just need to find my way back there. I really wish they would fix the map permanently. I know Gata can reset the server to do it, but I just wish that the game, because we're using the vanilla map in the game, and I wish that it would be functional without their interaction. What's the word I'm looking for here? Allegra planted the blue trees. Interesting. Oh wow, that door absolutely disappears in there. Chest full of chests. There more? Ow. Oh yeah, there's more. Okay, I'm just gonna take 2 stacks. That should keep me in chests for as long as I need them. Intervention, maybe? Yeah, basically, I feel bad having to call on Farmer Gata whenever I need something fixed in the server. So I really hope that they get the map issue fixed soon. They being the developers in this game, not Gata. You know what else keeps you in chests? What's that? What's that? Well, yeah, obviously, we had to keep the pears bagelled. But yeah, these are gorgeous blue trees. Because I know Boomer's area had a whole, like, swamp full of blue trees. Did I go the wrong way? No. Hello, I'm sorry. Listen, if you weren't, like, attack on sight, I would absolutely avoid you. Wow, there are a lot of bears out here. Like, there are so many bears in this area. Straight up just a bearia. do this. Time to set up more chests. Bop, 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 bop. Okay. So that should keep things nice, and now we can start organizing better. Oh, nope, nope, not you. Just the raw cobblestone, thank you. Got the salt cobble as well. No reason not to split it up into different styles at this point, because we've got so many chests. Let's build up again. We'll put the salt in there, I suppose. And volcanic in there. Oh, hello?
Have you seen Mr. Grumbles?
No, sweetie, did you lose track of her again?
Can you help me find her?
Sure thing. Give me just a moment, hon. Okay. That can go there. That. Alrighty. I feel like fabric is in one of these. Stone rubble, and then there's marble rubble, which should be in here with the marble stuff. There's the fabric. And then, I suppose, we'll do the maddening thing of storing chests inside of chests. Don't think about it too hard. And then we'll be back in 5 or so minutes, alright? So stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff. I'm gonna run a commercial while we're away, and then we'll come back for one more segment, alright? So, talk to y'all soon. Okay, so I'm betting she's probably in the library again. Oh, you already checked there. Oh, okay, well, Chests inside a chest inside a big chest is kind of chestception. Listen, I would love it if I could use some chestception. But anyway, that's against Twitch TOS. Anyway. We now finally have enough pickaxes to get back to work. Yeah, you know it. You know it, Osiris. You know what? Let's move these. There we go. Okay, I know that the image for this is available. This is from Lamplighters League. Why is that not? Media players. Frasm. Okay, I know my entire job is to display information about the music that I'm playing, but lol, what if I just didn't? Ugh, there's another great game that didn't get nearly enough time of day. But then again, that one was also set up to fail by Microsoft. I am glad that I'm going through the backlog of Harebrained Schemes games. We've already finished Dragonfall and moved on to Shadowrun Hong Kong. I guess I really should play Shadowrun Returns at some point, which is the first game in the trilogy. But I will admit the story in that one is kind of weak. It was almost more of a test bed than anything else. The file that you put there by ripping the CD... your iTunes often decides to stream songs that you own instead of playing the file that's sitting right there on the storage drive. What the hell? I don't... That or the fact that, like, there will be times where I'm like, okay, yes, download the podcast fully. Excellent, I have downloaded the podcast fully. You have this episode on your device. Great, now play it, please. I cannot play it because I can't connect to the internet right now. What the fuck? What the fuck? What do you mean you can't play the file that is on your drive right now? I blame horse armor. Which sounds completely fucking disconnected. But I promise you that there is a reason for it. Your title likes to tell you that the correct song, but show the album for the last song it played. That's weird. Okay, so for anybody who is too young to remember, like DLC and expansion packs and stuff like that has existed for a very long time for video games. It started off as a way to ship additional content for a game that didn't quite get done in time for the original release, and to expand on an existing system in a meaningful way. So StarCraft Brood Wars is a great example of an expansion pack. It requires the original StarCraft to function. It's not starting a new game all on its own, but it adds an entire new game's worth of levels and campaigns to it. That's what an expansion pack is supposed to be, right? You have old Dark Horizons shows saved in the podcast app, stored on your drive, but it'll tell you that episode isn't available right now after checking with the server. Why are you looking at the server? Oh my goodness, Dark Horizons. Now there's an old... I'm not even going to call it a podcast. It was a radio show. They did a podcast. For those of you who were not A, living in Florida in the 90s and early 2000s, and B, part of the goth subgenre of folks, Dark Horizons was a local radio show on... Oh, goodness gracious. What was the Tampa Stadium NPR station? WMNF, that's the one. That was an extremely late night. Like, it got on air because they needed something to fill a late night slot that played gothic and industrial and just, oh, so many gorgeous, great things. That when podcasts became available, they started releasing as podcasts as well. You know, I should honestly check to see if any of that is still available anywhere online. You're so happy when they started uploading their weekly shows as a podcast, right? Oh, that got me through so many retail shifts. Oh my goodness. Especially when they made me work truck. Ugh. On Mixcloud. Okay, good to know, good to know. We'll have to go back and check out some of their stuff. Almost certainly they're not still producing that, right? Because I know that those folks were starting to get old back in the 2010s already. I mean, if they are still making new shows, hell yeah, good for them. But yeah, I wouldn't expect it. They had their last show in, let me check. Ooh, fair enough. Okay, so to get at why horse armor is important to this. So obviously, like, games as a service has existed for a long time. But I already explained, like, expansion packs and the whole thought process behind them, right? So eventually we got to a point where the internet infrastructure was solid enough that, oh, no thank you, we could do DLC that was just downloadable content, right? This meant that, you know, what were previously referred to as expansion packs could be achieved through, you know, just downloadable content instead of making you buy a whole another, discs worth of stuff. It reduced the overhead because, like, okay, well, now we don't have to physically ship the product. So that's ultimately great. I like that. That's a good idea. Theoretically, that should have led to a reduction in the price of the product or an increase in pay for the people making it. We both are, well, I shouldn't say we both. There are at least a few people in the audience right now. We all know that that didn't happen. More's the pity. Capitalism sucks, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to relitigate that right now. But it really got out of hand when Bethesda started doing horse armor for Skyrim. It had no functional purpose in the game, it didn't protect your horse any better, it was purely an aesthetic choice. Now, they were not the first people to do aesthetic skins or anything like that. I actually supported aesthetic purchases in MapleStory well before that. Because MapleStory being a free MMO, they needed some way to keep the studio running. At the time, Nexon was not the juggernaut that it is now, and so it made sense. It's just like, okay, you know, we're like, you don't make me pay for this, but I am going to contribute a little bit to the company to make sure that this game that I really enjoy continues to be available. It's the same way that I felt with early, like, League of Legends skins and things like that. Like, you know, this was before Tencent had bought in on Riot Games and all that sort of stuff, so, like, skin sales legitimately did help them keep running the game. But when horse armor became a thing, it suddenly became an, oh, okay, so we can just shove out something that gives no function within the game, within a game that you have already purchased, that adds no story content, that adds functionally nothing to the game, that you will then also pay for it. Now again, there is a meaningful difference between making a purchase in a free game that helps the makers keep the lights on and purchasing additional content that has no gameplay effect whatsoever in a game you have already bought. both of these things are problems created by capitalism, but one of them is a much greater sin. Oh, I need to continue talking over this because there are lyrics, la da yada yada. Okay, there we go. Love the marathon soundtrack, but yeah, there are a couple of things in there that have lyrics, and I don't want to get demonetized for just, ugh. Gorgeous music. Please go listen to it, but not here, so that I can make sure that I don't get delisted. Yeah, fucking 10 cent. That's a whole other thing, though. But yeah, so there's a very different level of sin there, as it were. So between that and the advent of things like MMOs on the internet, and the advent of consistent internet connections, DRM kind of exploded because, like, okay, well, we want to, like, there's an easy way to make sure people aren't pirating our software. Well, the actual easy way is to not give a shit if people pirate your software, because the people who are actually likely to pay for your software in any way, shape, or form are going to pay for your software at some point. It's the same idea behind, like, community copies of TTRPGs and other works, of, like, people who want to pay for your stuff are going to pay for your stuff. End of story, right? People who don't care, they're gonna, if they care enough to want to play it, but they refuse to pay money for it, they're going to pirate it. They're going to find a way to pirate it. So you're not chasing those people away by putting DRM on your stuff. The only people you are chasing away are people who are too poor to purchase it right now, but would eventually purchase it if they enjoyed the thing. And on top of that, most DRM measures also make the experience notably worse, even for people who have purchased it. Which leads us to the live service bullshit of, I have downloaded this podcast, I have its file locally, why can't I play it without an internet connection? Because, let's be real, a huge chunk, and this kind of swings us right back around to something we were talking about earlier, a huge chunk of the United States still does not have a reasonably solid internet connection at all times. Huge chunks of the Midwest, huge chunks of rural areas in the Appalachians, honestly, even huge chunks of Florida, do not have a consistent high-speed internet connection. And giving money to Elon Musk for the stupid SpaceX satellite internet connection is not a good solution. For one thing, it's not as solid as a lot of people seem to think it is. For another, it does not actually count as a high-speed internet connection if you actually know anything about network infrastructure. DSL is no longer considered high-speed internet. And DSL speeds are the bare minimum for acquiring a lot of stuff that is made nowadays, because again, we come back around to the fact that a lot of software developers and games developers do not optimize their shit anymore because they know that people have huge hard drives. That and all it takes is a small issue for a tower to go down. DSL is extremely slow by today's standards, exactly. Or if, you know, like, oh, well, I've got a satellite dish, it's a cloudy day. You know, it's infrastructure in places like Europe or Japan or like the urban areas of China or decent chunks of India, particularly the urban areas. Again, rural areas are still underserved. Is incredibly strong. And so, for instance, like what we have in the United States is not actually true 5G. It's labeled as 5G because we don't hold standards in the US. But if you look at the original standards for 5G, as they were developed in Europe, you were supposed to be able to get, I think it was 1,000 megabits per second up and down in a subway. In a subway! Like, that's nowhere near the levels of speeds you can get on a cell phone in the United States, even with a good signal. Like, it... Yeah, your parents switched to satellite TV pretty much as soon as it was available, and oof, those daily afternoon Florida thunderstorms killed it. It's wild. Gods, you wish everything didn't suck here. Yeah, well, that would require us to have regulations. But people don't want regulations because they don't like being told what to do. Motherfucker, you as an individual are not going to deal with those regulations. It's the businesses. Anger. Fuming. Annoyance. Can you tell I feel strongly about these things? To be fair, I don't think a lot of places around the world actually reach those speeds, even in high infrastructure places. But then they also have things like Wi-Fi repeaters and things that are common enough and public access enough that it ultimately doesn't matter if you can hit those speeds on a cell phone. Because, you know, most of the time you're going to be on Wi-Fi anyway. And quite frankly, that's great. I love that. That's fantastic. With Starlink, there's also the issue that if the long muskrat gets upset for whatever reason, he can just shut down access for an entire region. Like he did in Ukraine, right before the Russians attacked. Lest anybody forget that bullshit. Anyway, so yeah, that's the connection between horse armor and why podcasts just sometimes don't work. It's a bunch of nonsense. It is an unfortunate reality of the world in which we live. Treat each other well, push back against a lack of regulation, push back against the folks who want to remove regulations because they either don't know what they're talking about and have been brainwashed by corporations to do the corporation's bidding, or they do not have your best interests at heart. All comes back to DRM. Yep. Very annoying. Incredibly annoying. And on top of that, most podcasts are free anyway. Why would that need DRM? It's free content! What are you protecting? Stupid. So stupid. It's one of the reasons why I love itch.io. It is by no means perfect. Their payout system is begrudging is the adjective I'm going to use for it, simply because like it's run by like one person. So even if this one person has everyone's best interest at heart, he can only move so fast when it comes to fixing technical issues, you know? But it is an open marketplace. Any DRM that exists is only in place because that individualized creator put it there. How is there basalt at this level? Wild. I do love that I just have a deer hanging out in this area. I'm a little sad that I couldn't get the big cow in here, but oh well. In the case of Dark Horizons, you suspect it's because they removed those episodes from the podcast server, and now the podcast app sees that and refuses to allow playing of the episode, even though you have the file. Yep, that's exactly what it is. It can't find it on the server, and so it goes, oh, it must not be a valid podcast. I can't stream that. Because the app now tries to stream instead of just playing the local file. I discovered that a couple of years back when I was on a flight. I had like intentionally downloaded a whole thing of like it was a TTRPG podcast. I don't remember if it was Critical Role or the Magpies, but I was like, you know what? I have a 4-hour-long flight. Let's go ahead and crank through a bunch of episodes, only to discover as soon as we took off that I could not listen to any of my podcasts. It was so frustrating. But that's part of the reason why I now keep an old phone that has shall we say, free software on it that I then keep a lot of my media, so like all of my audiobooks are DRM freed on that phone so that like I can just use it as a media player, you know? I don't have to care one lick whether that one has any connection, and in fact I keep the connection on it turned off, even the Wi-Fi, unless I'm having to do an update or something, so that I can extend its battery life as long as physically possible. I can't wait to find out where this song is going to be in Demon School. Oh, we're coming back to that game this Saturday, and I can't wait to see how we're going to break out of prison. That's going to be so fun. Because for anybody who does not remember the end of the last episode of Demon School, we ended up in that weird, mysterious prison that they've been threatening us with the entire game. And it's like a giant demon castle prison sort of thing. It's very, very cool. I knew it was going to come up because, like, this is not the kind of story to just leave us hanging with a detail like that, you know? But I didn't fully expect it to be the giant demon castle thing. Yeah. If you can make it to the stream, even for a little while on Saturday, Kiwi, definitely come check it out because, yeah, it's very, very cool. Demon School is a very fun game anyway. Genuinely. Again, like this is a production crew that decided on their own that they were going to take a couple of extra years to really get their game perfected. Like they could have released it back in 2022 or 2023, I think, but they intentionally decided, they're like, you know what, we're going to rework our engine to make things run even more efficiently, to do some even cooler things with the game. We're not going to crunch our developers. We are not going to, like, they are very vocal on socials about how stupid they think any developer using generative AI nonsense is. They're like, you didn't make that game then. You didn't do the art. You didn't make the thing. That is not your game. And I love them for that. In the last few months of their show, Ed and Teresa said they'd be putting up much of the show's archive on Mixcloud and on their website. You just went to it and they say they're keeping... and on their website, they say they're keeping just the last 10 episodes on podcasts. Fair enough. You love that they're doing it the right way. Exactly. And I cannot wait to see what that dev studio does in the future. And I commend Eastbeard Games for supporting indie devs as much as they can. These are the same folks who are publishers for World of Horror and Valhalla, Cyberpunk Bartending Simulator. I don't know if they're going to be the publisher of 45 Parabellum, which is the next game from the Valhalla developers, but I hope so. And for some reason, I want to say they were one of the publishers behind Paradise Killer, but I could be wrong on that one. I know they're not the ones who devved it, but I thought that they were the ones who published it, but again, I could be entirely wrong. Yeah. No, there are indie studios who continue to do things in amazing, wonderful ways. We just need to give them as much support as we can to make sure that the industry stays healthy and that people get a chance to actually make cool games, you know? It was also just really cool to see... Oh, my backpack is full. Oh, what's his name? He's the main developer behind Stardew Valley. Recently had an interview where he was like, nah, fuck Gen AI. Again, you didn't make it. Time to exfil. Yep. Because, like, as with all art, there is, what? Kunkel Cracker. Huh? But as with all art, there is joy in creation, and that joy shows through for people. And if you didn't actually enjoy creating a thing, then it's not gonna do well. Hang on, you fucked that up? What? Huh? Oh, Concerned Ape is the Stardew Valley dev. Okay. I was like, okay, who the fuck is Kunkel Cracker? Okay, you know what? While we're here, let's recycle a bunch of these broken pickaxes that we have. You were trying to type Knucklecracker, who is actually the dev for Particle Fleet, another indie game you love. Okay, I understand now. I understand. That makes a lot more sense. There we go. Ba, 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 ba. Yay, we do have some light leather now. That box. And then this one. And then the plant box over here is where these go. Okay, good. Anyway, lol, you're in the Discord for Airborne Empire, a sequel to Airborne Kingdom, and the devs, the Wandering Band, are quite against the generative ML crap. Yep, we love to hear it. And see, here's the thing. I have been in the world of computers for long enough to say that machine learning inherently is not machine learning in and of itself is not a bad thing. Hell, machine learning is part of how my model is being driven right now. Like, that sort of technology is at the core of what allows us to do body tracking without complicated tracking suits, right? It's generative machine learning that is the problem. It is the theft machine that is the issue. So don't ever let anybody tell you that if you're against generative ML, that you are against advancements in technology, because those same people were trying to sell us NFTs a few years ago. Those same people were trying to sell us Bitcoin a few years before that. It's just the next grift, you know? Oh, will I finish this little island of dirt in time for the end of the stream? Here's hoping. We are at least in a place where we're gonna have this flattened out. If not by the end of next stream, then maybe even before that, if I get time for it this week outside of this. But I am in a great groove as far as book editing goes right now, and I'm definitely loath to walk away from that. Plus, again, I am hoping to pick up more gigs soon myself personally. There's just a lot going on in life right now, you know? But yeah, once we get this grading done, we can take down the old wall from when I miscounted the size of this place and start laying out sort of a ground plan. That then means we get to build walls. This one is going to be much more, I'm going to describe it as rustic. than the last house that we ended up building, because that one was designed to look like, you know, a modern house. But this is going to look like, well, the Come and Go, which is built using much sturdier materials than most modern houses are made out of. Oh, I see something in there about paying voice actors. Oh, this one's going to be hot. Airborne Empire was in early access until a month ago, and sometime last year, someone joined the server and staunchly proposed that the devs use generative ML for their in-game voices to save money and just kept singing its praises. You and several other longtime members and players immediately heavily pushed back against that and called out how unethical it all is, and he just couldn't accept that it was a bad thing at all. Why should you pay voice actors when you could just do this to save the money? Because you want a quality product that will actually withstand the ages. End of story. Like, because it's unethical. But again, there's a certain genre of person who doesn't care about ethics when money is involved. And I do not understand that. I don't know. I'm in a very strange position of, like, I genuinely do not like money. I understand that society has to have some sort of money in order to function, because money is just a way of crystallizing how much time you have spent working in a day. And so, like, it represents a certain amount of effort, shall we say. But at the same time, when you attach money to things that are required for people to stay alive, that is a recipe for inequality and just death, you know? Oh boy, were you pissed. We directly addressed the devs and said, please, please, please do not use this crap. The devs came in and just straight up said that they're against it and it's very problematic. Fair enough. Fair enough. We're back to Wandering Sword again. We love these devs. Fair enough, fair enough. And, like, here's the other thing. Like, there are automation systems that make all the sense in the world. Like, animation is a good expression of that. So computer animation has long used things like machine learning to automate things. In-betweening is a job, and people who are employed thus definitely need to have their jobs. But there are ways that you can smooth that process out, and even those people who are employed and incredibly talented at in-betweening love those kinds of software because it makes their jobs faster and easier. Oh dear lords, your coworker just had a political rant outside your office. Uh-oh. And yes, charging money for life essentials is a crime, aka I couldn't hear me over them. Well, to be fair, we're also kind of having a political rant in here, but I'm guessing that mine is probably coming from much, much further to the left than theirs was. Then again, I don't think that, you know, the idea of providing everybody with essentials in order to help everybody survive should count as political? Like, why is healthcare politics? Why is taking care of other people political? What? Huh? Why is that a thing we're still arguing about? Why is... Oh, that's always a good one when you're like, oh, well, yeah, leftists are the problem. They're the ones who did capitalism. No? No, there were wars over this one, my guy. There were whole wars. There was a few decades where we were afraid we were going to get nuked because... Well, to be fair, Russian communism also wasn't actually leftism. Marx is leftist. Soviet communism is just as right-wing as American capitalism. Oh yes, there's some stuff that machine learning can do that improves lives, but it shouldn't be built on stolen work, and it shouldn't be used to co-opt intrinsically human things like art. Exactly. I think capitalism is a distinctly right-wing thing. Oh no, he was claiming it was socialism that caused shit, and then listed a whole bunch of things that are capitalism. To be fair, capitalism is an economic structure, whereas socialism is a political one. But again, when capitalism is equated so much with the sort of fascist semi-republic that is common in the West, that is a very difficult hair to split for a lot of people. Because of the fact that the US's economic and political systems are so deeply intertwined. And like, this is kind of getting back to what I was talking about before, where no matter what you do, to have a functioning society, you're going to end up with money of some sort, be it coupons or some other way of like essentially proving that like, okay, yes, I need this object, or you should give me this object. But when essentials get tied up into that, essentials being food, housing, healthcare, all of those good things, that's when it starts to turn sour. Now, you could make arguments prioritizing selling our natural resources out of the country, make a profit instead of keeping it to help local people. Exactly. Which is just absolutely astonishing to me, because like, holy shit, the lumber industry that gets crushed locally to buy natural resources from Argentina, for instance, is fucking wild. Like, I have had family that did forestry and did like renewable forestry. We're talking 5 to 10 year cycles of regrowing forests in very organized ways so that, you know, they were not overall reducing the amount of foliage, while also making, at one time, fair amounts of money on it. That's cool. Got completely crushed by people buying cheap lumber from overseas. And that's not the problem of the people who were selling the lumber from overseas. That is not me saying that. However, it is the problem of housing developers and building developers who decided that they value cheap lumber over maintaining the local economy. Which is funny, because those are always the people who shriek about how you have to maintain the local economy and it's not fair, yada yada yada. You know, it's funny though, because if you lean into socialism that breaks down international borders, that's actually less of an issue. Because again, the problem isn't inherently that we're getting lumber from overseas, it's that the people who previously were employed and making their living off of growing and harvesting lumber here. Again, I'm sticking with one example because it's one that I am personally familiar with. The problem is that those people are now out of a job. You know, another great example is how in the Appalachians, particularly in Virginia and West Virginia, in coal country, you know, during the Obama administration, because coal production was winding down for a wide variety of reasons, not least of which is we don't fucking need to use coal anymore. We have better ways of generating power. Initiatives were started up to get people retrained to do other jobs, and those initiatives were originally supposed to come with programs that said basically like, okay, you're in your 40s, you should just be paid a retirement wage now. Like, if you're in an age bracket where it is no longer economically reasonable for you to retrain into a new industry, you should just be paid to retire. You should just be given a salary to just be retired. And of course, nobody went for that. Now, granted, there are always going to be people who want to work. Great, fantastic. Almost every artist that I know of. Oh,
Can I borrow you for a second?
You can borrow me anytime you like, stud.
Ha.
I'll be with you as soon as I can, okay, sweetie? Okay, so this is, yeah, we are nearing the end of the episode anyway, so once I finish this row, I'm going to take a step back to look at where we are. But yeah, no, like, basically every artist I know says that even if they were given plenty of cash to just live as they please, they would still be doing jobs. Many of the carpenters I've known, people who work in hard industries that you would think would absolutely destroy their bodies, would say, like, I would still be doing that job, just at a slower pace than I used to, if I had the money to live on. Yeah, my gods, I said that we should be doing that 2 decades ago, right? But then they refuse to learn and listen to anyone other than those who spoon-feed them comfortable lies. Comfortable lies is the key there. And it is such a fucking travesty that so many people are taken in by those sorts of things. Well, now we've got another thing that you keep coming back to. Why the fuck are we still requiring people to work for money to live when we have so much automation? Right? You could be a millionaire. You would still work 4 days a week. You would be bored otherwise, right? Like, it is like people keep themselves busy. People do things because they enjoy doing them. And so many people would be so much happier if they were able to live like that. Like, do you know how many efficiency perverts we have who would make everyone's lives better if they could afford to live and work in a way that, like, allowed them to embrace the thing that makes them fun and special and interesting? Like, the number of people who would work on trains, who would work on infrastructure, who would do garbage collection because they truly believe that garbage collection needs to happen to have a just society. Just, you just wouldn't put up with as much abuse at work. Right, and that's where it gets you. Because they understand that if people had a comfortable way to live, then they wouldn't put up with the abuse. It's something that I always come back to in these sorts of situations. Is it comes back to control. It comes back to certain aspects of society knowing and understanding that they only have control over people as long as they can choke those people's ability to get resources. And there are a lot more people in the world that want freedom and that want to be able to live a good life and who deserve to live a good life than those people. But again, everybody comes back to comfortable lies. And it's a shame. And you know, I'm glad that y'all stick around with me through these sorts of rants, because I know that a lot of streamers avoid getting this kind of political because of the fact that it can drive people away because of those convenient lies, those comfortable lies. But yeah, I'm glad I can talk about these things with y'all. That's the real reason here. The oligarchy wants peasants barely surviving and slaving away for them. Why someone can still have their job when their abuse has cost a company clients and employees just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any economic sense either. It's just... it's old boyism, plain and simple. But... anywho, let's head back to the just chatting screen so I can find a place to send y'all off to, and we'll hopefully wrap this up on a more positive note. Well, that's a weird soundtrack. I didn't even realize that was a part of the Animal Crossing soundtrack for a moment there. Anyway, as I was saying, I appreciate y'all for sticking with me through rants like this, because obviously I have a lot of heavy feelings about these sorts of things. I hope to make a better world. I did my best to make a better world for a long time in the education industry, trying to get people to unionize, trying to make sure people only worked enough hours that they were comfortable with working and that they didn't take abuses in the workplace. And that people who were retiring from other industries understood that no matter what they were trying to do, even if they felt like they couldn't do something, that if they stuck to it, they kept their minds to it, they'd be able to learn anything that they put their minds to. And I know I'm flubbing my words at this point, but I hope that that makes sense. And that, I don't know, that everybody can find a workplace that treats them right and that allows them to survive well. But either way, thank you very much for stopping by, weary travelers. I hope you've enjoyed today's Hytale stream. I'll be back on Friday, May 27th, or no, May 22nd, excuse me, with more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We did discover last time that the mini-games are a lot more important to this particular game, so we're going to be playing a lot more Queen's Blood at the very least. And that it's trying to render the whole world at once, at all times, including a bunch of physics objects. So expect my model to chug. But that's okay. the game is at least still very, very pretty and very, very engaging, even if I can't always wiggle to my heart's content. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is 90% minigames. And so far, yeah, a little bit. Hopefully, we will have a way of fixing that soon, once I can figure out how to distribute my model actions to another system. But until then, until Friday at the very least, for more information about future streams, keep an eye on our Blue Sky at Come and Go Tavern for announcements and daily check-ins from the Come and Go. I have been your hostess, Sheela Ornthalis, and if you want to prop your feet up for a little while longer, we've got some more entertainment coming up soon via a raid. So let's take a look at the menu, see who's online right now. Let's see who's doing what right now. Ooh, okay, hang on a second. Ogre Daddy is playing Dawn of War 2. Captain Hurricane is playing a retro game of some sort. So let's take a look. Yeah, Ogre Daddy's been online for a couple of hours now. Captain Hurricane's been online for slightly less time, so let's go bother Captain Hurricane today. It's been a while since we raided out to them. So, ta-ta for now. I hope to see you again in the future. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and say hi to Captain Hurricane for me. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, bye, bye.